So let me get this straight, Lance Halloway muttered, standing awkwardly in the middle of a blindingly opulent Varelian throne room, barefoot, shirtless, and holding a half-empty bottle of cough syrup. Because I cured your daughters? What was it again? Interstellar mucus rot. Gravitraxian spore lung fever, corrected the towering royal figure beside him. Princess Zelnari, proud heir to the Varelian dynasty, stood statuesque in a bikini that had no business being diplomatic attire. Her deep amethyst skin shimmered in the high-vaulted sunlight, and her 4 fingers curled tightly around an ancient scroll. Right? Spore lung. That sounds worse than your mom's meatloaf, Lance mumbled, ignoring the crowd of alien nobility lining the room. I gave the kids some NyQuil, and now I'm your what? My concubine. 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 He blinked. Is there, like, a trial period? A return policy? He asked. The law is sacred. Varelian Code 68D, subsection 9. Any who saves royal blood from imminent death shall be bound to said royal by oath of physical servitude. Physical servitude. He choked on the word. Wow, that's a hell of a thank you card. Cough echoed. Empress Varaxa, Zelnari's mother, towered at the end of the room in a robe so gold it probably had its own stock portfolio. He shall be bathed, oiled, and educated in the ways of pleasing our lineage. Lance raised both hands. Now hang on, I think we're skipping a few first dates and at least one coffee order. Princess Zelnari looked him up and down. You're not exactly what I imagined in a mate human, but you do have potential. Is that a compliment? That depends on if your lower anatomy functions without alien enhancement. Someone in the crowd coughed awkwardly. Lance resisted the urge to crawl under the nearest throne. Purpose of Section 1. Introduce setting, Varelian Royal Court. Introduce Lance and Zelnari and their bizarre romantic predicament. Use adult humor, cultural misunderstandings, and double entendres for comedic effect. Set up the central conflict, legal servitude, romantic tension, human coping poorly. Zelnari held up a glowing orb. By sacred right, I now claim you as my lifebound. This orb isn't gonna go somewhere, is it? Only if you struggle. The orb flared. Lance woke up in a satin-draped bed the size of a football field. The air smelled of something floral and mildly suspicious. A familiar voice purred near his ear. You snore. Oh hell, he muttered, turning his head. Zelnari lay beside him, a datapad in one hand and a cup of something suspiciously green in the other. You snore like a malfunctioning shuttle bay door. I also drool. Deal with it. It is noted in your profile. I have a profile? You are now part of the royal database. I have already rated your reproductive potential as mysteriously promising. You know, he sighed, staring at the glittering chandelier above. This might be the weirdest Tinder date I've ever had. What is Tinder? Is it edible? Only emotionally. Back in the palace war room, Lance tried to argue his way out. Surely, there's some kind of diplomatic clause that gets me out of your royal booty call protocol. That was subsection 11. You agreed by unconscious groaning. I was drugged, which made you pliant. Very efficient. He groaned. This is intergalactic HR's nightmare. You are not displeased, are you? She asked, stepping close. I could order you a pleasure tutor. I'm a human, not a novelty project. She tilted her head. So you do wish to explore me unaided. That is not what I meant. The Empress's voice boomed in the distance. Prepare the wedding oils. Wedding. Cliffhanger end of. Lance didn't know what was more terrifying. The army of diplomats demanding a statement from Earth, or the alien masseuse slathering his legs with something that smelled like glowing coconut oil. Stop flinching, human. You agreed to interspecies concubine protocol, growled Zelnari, looming over him with arms folded. Her silver-blue skin glistened under the heat lamps of the ship's relaxation chamber. A spa that felt more like a weird alien interrogation room with scented oils and low gravity. I didn't agree to this, Lance hissed. You handed me a massage consent form, and when I said yes, it started glowing and declared me willing concubine property of House Naxer. The masseuse, a four-armed, half-jellyfish being, slapped his thigh. No twitching, it said in a deep monotone. Tension impedes arousal. Arousal is mandatory for treaty stabilization. Treaty what? Lance barked, eyes wide. Zelnari rolled hers. House Naxer deals with diplomacy through pleasure alignments. If you pass the protocol of central unity, our planets sign a trade deal. If you fail, I have to exile you. Or skin you. Rules vary by moon district. A drop of oil sizzled on his stomach. He yelped, I don't want to be skinned or exiled. The jelly masseuse nodded. Good. Then prepare. We begin the sensory path of 44 delights. Meanwhile, outside the chamber, Ambassador Tenrol of the Draxery Confederation leaned against a marble pillar, muttering to a translator droid. I give the human 3 delights before he faints. You bet 5 credits he survives at least 10, said the droid. Back inside, Lance was sweating bullets. The gravity had shifted to 0.3x, and the massage oils were now floating as glowing droplets around his half-naked body. Zelnari paced slowly, her long legs moving with fluid grace. Her armor had been replaced with a formal silk wrap that showed far too much thigh and way too much intergalactic cleavage. Do you even know what you're doing to me? Lance asked, flustered. She leaned close, her nose an inch from his. I hope so, concubine. Lance's brain short-circuited. Part of him wanted to run. The other part wanted to know if delight number 7 was the thing involving the tail massage wand. But before things could escalate further, alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Zelnari's face hardened. Enemies of House Naxer. Orders. Lance blinked. This is part of the massage, right? She shoved a plasma blade into his hands. No, idiot. Stay behind me. If they kill you before the treaty is consummated, we're all dead. Boarding bay, 14 minutes later. Lance crouched behind a decorative pillar shaped like a squatting insect and peeked out. Alien mercenaries were fighting Zelnari's warriors. She herself was a storm of motion, leaping, spinning, roaring commands in her native tongue as plasma fire lit up the bay. Lance fumbled with the blade. He'd taken fencing in college, briefly, when the professor looked like Natalie Portman. But this wasn't a duel. Then he heard it. One of the attackers yelling in common. Grab the human. We sell him back to Earth at triple price. Oh, come on. Lance shouted, lunging forward. His blade, more luck than skill, caught the attacker's weapon arm. He stabbed you, one yelled. Another shouted. He stabbed someone. The human? The tide turned. Zelnari decapitated a final attacker and stormed over. You are supposed to stay behind the pillar. They said they'd sell me. She blinked, then smirked. Maybe I judged you wrong, Earthman. Delight number 7 will involve victory wine. Wait, what's delight number 8? She leaned closer. You'll find out. If you survive the palace. Lance gulped. The look in her eyes said he might survive the enemy. But her? She'd ruin him. When the door swished open, Kalen found himself staring at what could only be described as a surgical disaster disguised as a healing suite. Glowvines hung loosely from the ceiling, tools shimmered midair in random rotation, and on the central podbed lay the alien woman. Her legs splayed wide again, and her face wearing an expression somewhere between agony and suspicion. Human, she snapped. You're late. My pelvic stabilizers have seized again. Do you want my thorax to implode? Kalen blinked. You have a thorax? Obviously, she barked, then pointed to a crystalline plate at her side. Scan me. I uploaded the muscle diagnostics. The system thinks my muscle fibers are misaligned along the axial ridge due to gravitational inversion. Or you just pulled a groin doing splits on level 6, Kalen muttered. She glared. What was that? Nothing. Nothing. Right. Let's see the scans. Kalen stepped closer, scrolling through the medical chart. The diagnostic overlay confirmed it muscle lock around the abductor flexor junction. A deep tissue anomaly. His fingers hovered awkwardly above her leg. Her skin shimmered like pearl and flexed as though part of it anticipated his touch. "Just be gentle," she muttered now, voice lowered. That caught him off guard. The fierce warrior, the growling alien who had pinned a bounty hunter with a single kick, now lay before him timid, unsure. He exhaled slowly and pressed his thumb carefully into the muscle cluster near her inner thigh. Her body jerked like a short-circuited circuit board. Are you okay?" he asked. She bit her lip. That's the right spot." Her voice shook. Her claws scraped the pod's edge. His hands worked in slow, firm circles, focusing on pressure points. Her muscles quivered beneath his palms, like live wire under silk. The room filled with something other than silence. Something tense, something electric. Then she gasped, but not from pain. "You have healer's touch, human," she breathed. "It's unnerving." Kalen smiled faintly. "Thanks, I guess. You don't understand. Your fingers release pressure points my own people train years to even sense. And you do it while being sarcastic. I consider it a talent." Suddenly, her legs snapped closed, forcefully, not from pain, but from reflex. His hands were still between them. The podbed groaned. He froze. She stared. They were close, too close. Her breath fanned his cheek. She didn't move. "You're not repulsed?" she asked quietly. "By you?" Kalen asked. "Are you kidding? You threw a war hammer at my head. That's at least a little hot." She blinked, then barked out a laugh, then immediately winced and clutched her side. "Don't make me laugh. It hurts to laugh. I'll try to keep the flirting to a minimum." "No," she said. Eyes now locked on his, voice softened. "Don't stop." For a long second they stayed like that. The tough alien warrior, the sarcastic human, and a whole lot of unspoken things hanging between them. Then the door exploded. Literally. 3 armed guards burst in, blasters drawn. Target acquired. Step away from Commander Zevely. Kalen threw up his hands. "What the hell? I was massaging her." "Massaging? Is that what you're calling it now, human?" The lead officer growled. Zevely stood. Despite the earlier spasms, she moved with deadly grace, placing herself in front of Kalen. "He is under my protection. Interfere again, and you'll be limping home." "Commander," the officer warned, "he's human. Your people will never accept this." "Then they can perish," she growled, eyes glowing. "Because I've made my decision." Kalen blinked. "Wait, what decision?" She turned to him, face proud, bruised, and glowing. "You've touched me, in the place of warriors. That's sacred. That's a bond." "Oh no! Human Kalen," she said solemnly. "You must now marry me, or they will kill us both." His jaw dropped. Behind them, the guards raised their weapons. And Kalen sighed. "Yeah, okay. I really should have just stuck with fixing bikes." A silence hung between them as the battlefield cooled. The shattered remains of the Overseer's fortress smoldered in the distance, violet flames licking at the sky, twisting into unfamiliar constellations. Shards of energy still sparked in the air, the aftermath of Lernex's unleashed power, combined with Tren's raw, stubborn humanity. They had won. But the price? Lernexa lay against the roots of a ruined tree, her breathing shallow, green skin blotched with crystalline fissures, her body failing after channeling the forbidden ether root. Tren knelt beside her, bloodied hands pressed against her ribs, not to heal, just to hold. "Don't you dare," he whispered, his voice breaking. "You don't get to save the universe and leave me behind. Damn it." She smiled weakly, a twitch of her split lip. "You kissed me in front of the matron tribunal. Now, you beg like a soft-hearted hatchling. I'll kiss you again in front of the stars if it means you stay awake." "Human fool," she croaked. "I'd like that." From the wreckage, the surviving rebels gathered. Siblings in blood, witnesses to the impossible. When the galactic broadcast systems flickered back on, the universe was greeted not by conquest, but by a declaration of unity. From an alien warrior once destined for servitude, and the reckless human who refused to leave her behind. Tren held her hand as they stood before the transmission lens. Her body shook, but she stood. "We will not be property," she said, voice raw but proud. "We are not tools for your wars, nor dolls to be sold." Tren added, "And if you want to test that, you know where to find us." Their story became a ripple that turned into a wave. Across the galaxies, resistance flared. But in the quiet after, beneath the crimson twilight of a planet finally free, Tren took Lernexa to the cliff where the stars met the ocean mist sky. "No titles," she said, cupping his jaw with scarred fingers. "No chains. Just you and me." Tren grinned. "I still haven't figured out what color your eyes really are." "Keep staring," she whispered. "You'll have a lifetime to learn." They kissed, feral and soft, broken and whole. And when the stars blinked in approval, they knew. It was not a fairy tale ending. It was just the beginning of something truer, something earned.